Hello, everyone. It's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another Instant Deck Tech. So, as you know, Tuesday means Type 2 or Standard Tuesday, but we're in the weird dead space for Standard, waiting for Ixalan, waiting for rotation. So, instead of talking about a current Standard deck that's probably going to rotate in just like a couple weeks, today we're going to jump back into the time machine for one of the sweetest and most convoluted combo decks I've ever seen in Standard. This is Abducted Drake combo. Comes to us from way back in 1999 when Dirk Baberwaski took it to a second place finish at the European Championship. So congrats to Dirk on a super cool deck. A quick reminder before we break down Abducted Drake for historic Standard. If you enjoy Instant Deck Techs and the other series here on the channel, it would be spectacular of you if you could take a quick second, click that subscribe button down in the corner of your screen. It's a great way to support the channel and the site for free. So Abducted Drake has a lot of moving parts, but it does have an I win the game combo built in. So this is what we got going on. Number one, the Drake itself, Iridescent Drake, only a one of. Probably seems weird to play a key combo piece as a one of, but it's a 2/2 flyer for 4 mana. Whatever. The big deal is when it enters a battlefield, you can return an enchant creature card from your graveyard to play Enchanting Iridescent Drake. Remember that ability. That's going to come up as we go through the combo. So we have 1 Iridescent Drake. We also have 4 Gamekeepers, which let us do 2 things. They help us find our Iridescent Drakes, because when Gamekeeper dies, you basically reveal cards from your library until you hit a creature. The creature goes into play, everything else goes into your graveyard. So the only creatures in our deck are the 4 Gamekeepers and the 1 Iridescent Drake. So when we have a Gamekeeper die, we're either getting another Gamekeeper or an Iridescent Drake while also stocking our graveyard, which is important as well. Our big sacrifice outlet is Altar of Dementia. So Altar of Dementia is a sacrifice outlet. It's also a combo piece. It's also our finisher. 2-mana artifact, you sack a creature and target player mills equal to the creature's power. So if we sack a Gamekeeper, someone's going to mill 2 cards. We can target ourselves if we need to, or just target our opponent. The trick to this deck is we can sack our Gamekeepers and mill a couple cards, and we're either going to find another Gamekeeper, which we can then sack to Altar of Dementia to get another Gamekeeper. Eventually, as we're sacking, we're going to hit Iridescent Drake, and that's where the final combo piece comes in, and that is Abduction. So Abduction says, when it comes into play, you untap the enchanted creature, you gain control of the enchanted creature, and if the enchanted creature is put into a graveyard, you can put that creature into play under its owner's control. So you probably see the loop here. We want to use Abduction on our own Iridescent Drake. So Iridescent Drake enters a battlefield, maybe off our Gamekeepers, which mill a whole bunch of cards, hopefully including one of our Abductions. When Iridescent Drake enters a battlefield, we enchant it with Abduction, which allows us to sack our Iridescent Drake to Altar of Dementia, mill our opponent for 2 cards. Then when we sacrifice it, since Abduction says when enchanted creature is put into the graveyard from play, that creature comes into play under its owner's control, we get back the Iridescent Drake, which gets back the Abduction, which we can sacrifice to Altar of Dementia, which we then get back from the graveyard thanks to Abduction's ability, which gets back Abduction. So basically, we mill our opponent's entire deck with Altar of Dementia by just getting Iridescent Drake back and forth from our graveyard again and again and again and again. So Gamekeeper is the big setup piece, allowing us to get our Abduction in the graveyard and also find our Iridescent Drake. Iridescent Drake with Abduction creates the infinite loop, and then Altar of Dementia not only lets us sack our Gamekeeper to set up the combo, but gives us a game-winning sacrifice outlet to go along with the Iridescent Drake to finish off the combo. So super convoluted, but super cool. The rest of the deck is a bunch of ways to find our combo pieces and also to help us protect the combos. So Vampiric Tutor, obviously straightforward. 1 mana, 2 life, we get whatever combo piece we need. Intuition is really interesting. Basically, for 3 mana, we get any combo piece we need, except Iridescent Drake, but we have to mill 2 copies of the card to do it, is how it actually plays out. But this does make sure we get our Abduction, we get our Gamekeeper, we get our Altar of Dementia, and then Scroll Rack just lets us put cards from our hands on our library. When we shuffle to Vampiric Tutor or to Intuition, we get a bunch of new cards. So it's a way we see a lot of cards in our deck for a very cheap price to find our combo pieces that way. So a ton of cards to find our combo pieces. As far as protecting our combo, we have Duress to just strip a removal spell, a counter spell out of our opponent's hand, then a bunch of counter spells. 1 Power Sink, 1 Mana Leak, 1 Memory Lapse, all just ways to protect our combo, force it through our opponent's counter magic, and then a single resend, just kind of a hedge. If we don't need it, we can cycle it, but we can always bounce one of our opponent's things to just kind of set them back a little bit. The other key piece to the deck is just speeding up the process. So we want to do this as fast as possible, and having Ancient Tomb, City of Traders, and Mox Diamond really goes a long way to helping us play our key pieces quickly. So if you look at what we got going on here, in theory, if we can Ancient Tomb on turn 1, we can play an Altar of Dementia, and then maybe the next turn we City of Traders, Mox Diamond. That gives us enough mana that we could Gamekeeper, sack Gamekeeper, and start our combo on turn 2. So we have a potential turn 2 kill thanks to all of our fast mana available. The rest of the mana base, Underground River and City of Brass, fixed for all of our colors, then just some basic lands. As far as the sideboard, we get a bunch more ways to protect our combo. Defense Grid to fight through counter spells. Back in the day, you just saw the counter spells. We had Mana Leaks, Memory Lapses, Power Sinks, lots of good counter spells in the format. Arcane Laboratory fights against other combo decks. Also works really well with our combo deck because we only need to cast 1 spell. We're not a Storm deck that needs to cast multiple spells. If we can play Altar of Dementia 1 turn, all we need to play is a Gamekeeper and we just win the game. Everything else is not casting a spell, it's just these weird loops and milling and all that stuff. Lobotomy lets us steal something from our opponent's hand and gets rid of all of that something. Verdant Force is hilarious. It's basically the Emrakul of its time. It shows you how far we've come in the past, 18 years since this deck was a thing? Because it doesn't look like much now, but as a 7/7 that makes a 1/1 every turn, pretty good. So this gives us an interesting backup plan. If our opponent can disrupt our graveyard, let's say, and stop the Drake combo, we can bring in Verdant Force, and then when we sack a Gamekeeper, we just keep doing that until we hit a Verdant Force and try to Emrakul beat down with our 7/7. Hope that that's good enough to close out the game. Follow that up with Disenchant and Rapid Decay, get rid of some stuff in our opponent's graveyard, also deal with artifacts and enchantments, and then a bunch of color hate, which is pretty typical of these old decks. Dread of Night for white creatures, Perish takes care of green creatures, Boil takes care of islands, and Light of Day takes care of black creatures. So no matter what color you're up against, you got something to just randomly hose your opponent, and that is Abducted Drake for Historic Standard way back in 1999, and that's our instant deck for today. So I think this combo is super cool. Something to keep in mind, it is possible that you could play this combo in a commander deck, for example. All the pieces are legal. It's pretty unique. It's pretty fun. It's interesting. I never even thought about it before, so I think it's cool. Could be a fun casual deck. Obviously, you can play it in Legacy. Not sure it's really worth it to play it in Legacy, but it's cool to see these old cards and see how the game has changed over the years. So anyway, that's Abducted Drake. That's our instant deck for today. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, help us out by clicking that like button down below. And to keep up on all the latest and greatest, click that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that bell icon to get alerts whenever we have new videos. And if you want to, check out some of our other sweet videos here and here.